Hello once again, good friends. Welcome, new subscribers. I'm Brian from Apex Detail. Today we're going to talk about removing etching and staining from a daily driver. And it doesn't really matter what the source of the contaminant is. The damage happens to be on the hood and the trunk and the roof, which are most susceptible to UVA and UVB damage. So we want to remove those imperfections, yet leave as much clear coat behind as possible. I'm going to show you the best way to do it, the safest way to do it for clear coat. I have a vehicle out in the shop. It's been washed, it's been clayed, it's been decontaminated. It is ready for us to get right in there, dig in, and remove those imperfections. Let's get going. Okay, so this is what we're after today. We have staining and etching. The etching is quite deep. Whatever it is, it's working its way through the clear coat. We're going to remove that today, and we're not going to sit here and run the DA back and forth with an aggressive pad, raising those temperatures up to 115, 120 degrees. We're going to get rid of these through wet sanding. Yes, there are paint depth gauges out there that can be helpful if you know how to use them. I don't want you guys to rely on. I want you to read the clear coat. Every time a car comes in, if you have to do some spot correcting or wet sanding or whatever, read the texture of the clear coat. So right here, you can see there's some texture, and we're going to keep that in mind as we're correcting. I'm going to start off, as I always do, 3000 grit. If I have to adjust and be more aggressive, I will. 1500, 2500, 2000 grit, whatever. But I'm always going to start with 3000 because if that works, you only have to either then jump to a compound, or what I like to do is follow up with 5000 grit and then a very light polish, an open cell light polishing pad, and the temperatures, the stress on the clear coat is at a minimum, and you're not removing much clear coat at all. So we're going to start with 3000, and we're just going to simply wet sand the area until you get that milky white chalky substance in the water, and you'll be able to see that shortly. Once I see that, then we know we're making headway. We are starting to remove clear coat. I'm going to do a section. I'm going to clean off the residue. I'm going to check my work. If you like using a machine, you can use a pneumatic tool to wet sand. You can use the KXK Rid sticks. They're great. You can use a block. I like to use this little foam block. I have one I kept from a 3M headlight restoration kit. I have another one I made, just picking up stuff here and there from a craft store. These contour to both my hand and also the shape of the panel. And I will only break out the pneumatic tool if it's a large van, very large flat panels. Here you can see we just have a very light shade or shadow left of the etching. We're going to get rid of those. We don't have to go back over it with the 3000 and keep removing. As we step down to the 5000 grit here, and then to the light polish, that's going to be enough to keep going and remove those completely. You'll pick this, guys, you'll pick this up with experience. That's why I always urge you to grab some panels from a local body shop and start practicing. You will pick these little things up here and there. I like to use this block here for the 5000, especially on this larger kind of flat roof here. It has a little bit of curvature to it, but we're going to be okay. A common question I get is, why don't I just go from the 3000 grit to a compound and polish it out? You absolutely can. You can grab an aggressive polish or a light compound and the correct pad and go after it, but you're going to be on the panel a little bit longer, and it may take 2 steps to go from there to finish it. I like to go from the 5000 grit right down to a light polish and a light. I'm going to show you the combo we're going to use to finish this up. As you can see here, the panel already has some reflection if you use the overhead light. So all we're going to need here is the honey combination number 2, which is a polish, a light polish, and we'll team that up with their the green color polishing pad in their line is a light polishing. It's beveled, it's an open cell pad, it runs cooler, and I'm going to show you just how cool towards the end of the video. 3 or 4 pea-sized drops on the polishing pad, tap that out, spread it out, Speed up your polisher, and pressure will be quite similar to a firm handshake. Speed of the polisher, this one here will be on 30, equivalent to mid-speed or 3.5 on a lot of the dial speed polishers. Like I said, you don't need to have that polisher screaming at high speed. 3.5, 4 is where I like it personally, with a little bit of pressure on the first pass. After that first pass, we're going to lighten up the pressure. Just let the weight of the polisher do the work. You guide the machine. You will notice as the polisher pulls away here that even under the residue, you're going to see quite a lot of reflection that we didn't have before. The staining, the etching is completely gone. And that second pass, again, ease up on the polisher. Just use your hand to guide it back and forth. The abrasives are diminishing, and we can take advantage of that, teaming that up with the light polishing pad here. And in most cases, depending on the hardness of the clear coat, you may not need to follow this up with some type of a fine finishing polish. It's completely up to you and the results you're looking for. Finish up the edging with the corresponding polisher for those areas. Tape off edges, tape off high spots, tape off plastic trim, rubber seals, and grommets. The edge I'm working on here, it's a high spot. I am standing on a ladder. Anything can happen, even with the experience. Mistakes can happen, and I always try to cover myself, and I urge you guys to do so. Okay, the etching and the staining completely gone. We did it without raising temperatures, spiking them. We did it without removing a ton of clear coat. We still have texture in that area. If we go up here, you'll see texture going back and forth on the overhead light. We'll come back here, and you're going to see the same texture. It didn't change a thing. We didn't remove a ton of clear, so it's time to move on and take care of the rest of this roof. I do want to show you how cool these pads run, and during this whole correction the highest we get is 79, maybe a little over 80 degrees. I'm following the polisher and the pad here with this gauge, and you can clearly see. All right, so I went ahead and did the rest of the car with a little bit of wet sanding, a little bit of light polishing. We got rid of the imperfections. We brought back some gloss to this daily driver, and it's well protected. All right, guys, so we remove some imperfections, staining and etching from who knows what. It really doesn't matter what the source is. What is important is that we removed the damage without taking a ton of clear coat. We also did it with just raising temperatures only 10 to 15 degrees above what the rest of the panel was. So we saved the clear coat a lot of stress. If you have any questions on the method we used today, don't hesitate. Wet sanding happens to be my favorite way, and it's actually the best way for clear coat when it comes to removing imperfections and correcting, spot correcting in particular. It saves running that machine over it, raising temperatures, putting a lot of stress on the clear coat. And again, if you have any questions on that method whatsoever, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. Catch you guys in the next video.